asked and I'm answering. If you're stuck in the cycle of acid rebound, or you're terrified of your acid reflux, GERD, or LPR symptoms coming back the moment you stop your medication, this part 2 Q&A is exactly for you. I went through hundreds of comments on my last video on how I weaned off of my PPI and healed my acid reflux. If you haven't seen that video, you can watch it right here. And it is clear that weaning off your PPI is complex. It's not just about dropping the dose. It's also about the fear that comes along with it, the supplements that you can take that can support this process, and knowing exactly what to do, what tools to grab when the burning or the acid rebound hits. If you're new here, my name is Molly. I'm a registered dietitian specializing in reflux. I suffered with GERD myself for over a decade, and I started this YouTube channel to help you overcome your reflux and take back your health. Quick disclaimer before we dive in, I am not recommending anyone go off of their medication before talking to their healthcare provider. You really want to make sure that you are doing this in collaboration with a trusted healthcare provider. So do not make any changes to your medication without talking to your doctor first. The first question that I got most frequently is, how long did this process take? And I do go into detail on everything I did in this video, so make sure that you check that out. But in general, we are looking at usually like a 6-month process, depending on how much PPI you're on. For example, if you're only on 20 milligrams omeprazole once a day, that's gonna look a lot different than 40 milligrams omeprazole twice a day. So in terms of taking those gradual steps down, it will take someone a lot longer who's on a bigger dose of this medication. But I think it's really important, slow and steady wins the race. We want this to be an overnight fix or a 1-week process, but it just totally is not. So it depends on the person, but generally several months. Question 2 was about Barrett's esophagus. Barrett's esophagus, I have a full video on that as well, so definitely check that out. If you have Barrett's, you don't want to miss that. Barrett's is really controversial because some doctors feel that this is a permanent condition. Other doctors, such as Jamie Kaufman, who is an expert in the reflux space, feels that this can go into remission, this tissue can be healed. And I've seen this firsthand in my practice, that people have been diagnosed with Barrett's and then they go to their follow-up endoscopy. They no longer have it. They no longer have these precancerous cell changes in the esophagus. And that's essentially what Barrett's is. It's precancerous cell changes in the esophagus. So I've seen this be healed. It takes a holistic approach, and it often does require medication and medical intervention. So that being said, if someone has Barrett's, sometimes their doctor will recommend that they stay on medication because it outweighs the risk of not being on medication when it comes to cancer. And I know that's frustrating to hear for a lot of people who are on PPIs because they're like, I don't want to be taking this medication, but it really does depend on the severity of the Barrett's, what your doctor feels is right, and also how willing you are to make changes nutritionally. I have had clients in our practice who were able to come off of medication who did have a history of Barrett's, but this was a really long process. You know, for about a year, we would be working together, really utilizing anti-reflux nutrition strategies, changing their diet, changing their lifestyle alongside medication so that the doctor can verify the Barrett's is actually gone, and then they can start that gradual weaning process. So it's multifaceted, and it does take a team approach, as you can see, when it comes to Barrett's. But for some people, if you have Barrett's, really severe ulcerations, the benefits of being on a medication may outweigh the risks of potentially getting cancer and having to take loads and loads of medications because of cancer. So what I will say about Barrett's is that you can't just take a PPI. And I talk about this in my other video too, but a PPI alone is not enough to prevent further cell changes or put your Barrett's in remission. You also need to focus on nutrition and lifestyle. Nutrition and lifestyle to prevent reflux is the mainstay of Barrett's treatment. So definitely check out my other videos on what I mean by nutrition and lifestyle. I have so many videos sharing recipes, sharing what it looks like to eat for reflux prevention, and also anti-inflammatory support. Second part of that question was ulcers. What about if I have an ulcer? Do I need to stay on PPIs? Do I need to take PPIs? I am not your doctor, so I can't tell you exactly what to do, but when it comes to ulcers, utilizing a PPI medication, this is exactly what it is for this short-term use to prevent further erosion and let this erosion heal. So this is typically indicated in this scenario, and whether or not you wean off is a conversation with your doctor, but typically PPIs are used in a short-term scenario when it comes to ulcers. Okay, next question is about taper math. How do you actually reduce the dose of a PPI medication? And this does differ on your dose. For example, omeprazole, I mentioned, is great in terms of a taper because it comes in a 10 milligram. You can get this prescribed in the US, and that's really useful because if you're moving from a 40, but you want to move to a 30 to keep this gradual and kind of nice and slow to prevent acid rebound, you could combine a 20 milligram omeprazole with a 10 milligram to get your 30. So it's really useful when they come in these little doses, but certain other types like pantoprazole and Nexium, they don't necessarily come in a 10 milligram. So that can be a little bit tricky. There's a couple different ways to do this, and it depends if you're using a capsule that is filled with beads or if you're using a tablet form of a medication. So always talk to your doctor before making changes, but you can ask the pharmacist, is it okay for this medication? Can I break it in half? You can break sometimes tablets in half to split a dose. I've also had clients that opened up capsules and took the beads out and then reclosed the capsule, so you can actually gradually adjust that way as well. But what happens when you hit a certain point in this gradual taper where your symptoms just start to flare up and almost rebound? This is really common, and you wanna have a few things on hand in this scenario to prevent acid rebound. One of the most important things to have is a good quality alginate supplement. Alginate supplements are excellent because they create a little gel raft at the top of the stomach to physically prevent reflux from moving into the esophagus. Reflux during an acid rebound or during a PPI weaning protocol might be a little bit more acidic, so you really want to protect that tissue from irritation with this little algae raft. The one that I use and love is Reflux Raft. It has natural ingredients, it is low sodium, and has none of the yucky things that a lot of other alginates have that you don't want. So this is an amazing one. I will put the link down below in the description of this video. One other group of supplements that really helped me personally wean off of my PPIs was mucilaginous herbs. The reason for this is because they help to create this nice soothing layer around your throat and esophagus and stomach to prevent from this increase in acid production. If you have gastritis, if you feel like this burning in your stomach or burning in your chest, mucilaginous herbs are really, really helpful. A few of my favorites are slippery elm, DGL, those are excellent. Marshmallow root, also great. Slippery elm and DGL are actually the main ingredients in my custom supplement, Sequoia Soothe, that I created for fellow reflux sufferers to help you find relief and soothe irritated tissue. So this is linked down below. Hopefully it's back in stock by the time this video goes live. It was out of stock for a long time because it just sold out so quickly. But yeah, check out Sequoia Soothe for this process. You want to have things on hand that can help you kind of quell that burn. Another great product is Wonderbelly. I have no affiliation with them, but Wonderbelly is like a natural Tums that you could just split in half, take half or something if you need that support. Don't be afraid to reach for certain things during the process. You can also ask your doctor about taking a Pepcid on occasion in this PPI weaning process. That's another great strategy. Okay, I kind of just answered this question, but people wanted to know what are my top supplements during this protocol process. If I had to pick, it would be mucilaginous herbs like slippery elm, alginates, and then probably like a DGL as well, which just falls in the category of mucilaginous herbs, but these are amazing. People also wanted just additional strategies outside of supplements when it comes to handling acid rebound. One of the most helpful things that I've heard from my clients is actually diaphragmatic breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing is an amazing tool. There's randomized control trials showing its efficacy for helping to prevent reflux. One of the ways it does this is by strengthening and toning the lower esophageal sphincter to prevent reflux from moving upwards. I also love that it can help us shift into rest and digest, this parasympathetic side of the nervous system, where we can actually really digest our food. If we're in rest and digest, also, we're not in fight or flight. And fight or flight can hypersensitize the esophagus and actually make the esophagus more permeable to damage. Your stress and anxiety have a real physiological effect on the body. And so doing things like diaphragmatic breathing after a meal, in between meetings, when you're washing your hands, as many times throughout the day as you can. Take these nice deep breaths. This will help you not only support your nervous system, but also support your lower esophageal sphincter, which is really important. Now, we need to talk about reintroducing foods post PPI weaning process, because this is really tricky and this is where a lot of people go wrong. Before we do that though, I have a quiz in the description of this video. It's the reflux relief quiz to help you learn more about your symptoms and decide the next best steps for you in terms of your reflux healing journey. So definitely check out my free reflux relief quiz in the description of this video. Question number 5 is, when can I eat spices and coffee again? This is really individual, and I'll say for myself, I tried to introduce coffee so many times after I weaned off a PPI, and every single time I started to get heartburn, and I just had to accept that in that moment, it was not a food or a beverage that worked for me at that time. But later, I was able to reintroduce it with no problem. So the message I want you to take away from this is that immediately after weaning off a PPI, your body will be more sensitive to the reflux triggers like caffeine and alcohol and spicy foods, really acidic things. Your body's gonna be a little bit more sensitive for probably about a month or so after weaning off. And so my recommendation to you would just start small. Start with really small portions of these reflux triggers. You know, a few sips of coffee, a small square of chocolate, a couple bites of a spicier dish mixed with some rice or something to kind of buffer that spice. Start small, go slow. Don't reincorporate all of the triggers at once. That is a recipe for just overwhelming your system. Question 6, what if my doctor says there's nothing wrong with being on a PPI, I should just stay on them forever? We hear this a lot, and in this moment, it is up to you to advocate for what you want for your long-term health. So if you don't want to be on a PPI long-term, voicing that to your doctor, asking them, is there a lower dose we could try? I am working with a dietitian, I am really working on my diet or other things, like letting them know that you're also taking this nutritional, holistic side of supporting yourself, prevent reflux. I'm not eating before bed, I'm doing small frequent meals. Let them know that and say, like, can we try a smaller dose and see how I do? Even if you're able to get on a lower dose, that is a huge win for someone that doesn't want to be on medication long-term. To split the dose by 50% is amazing. And then from there, you can potentially have that conversation. Okay, now can I gradually try to come off of my PPI? My symptoms are low. My symptoms are around a 0 to a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. Things like this, I would have this conversation. This is also really important to talk about if you didn't get relief from taking a PPI. There are loads of people with reflux and LPR specifically that don't get relief from taking a PPI. So really voicing that with your doctor, letting them know, I'm not getting relief from this medication. What are my other options is really important. Alginates can be huge here too, especially for those with LPR. Why is my reflux worse at night during a PPI weaning process? It is extremely common for reflux to get worse at night. One of the reasons is because this is typically when we are having our larger meals. Just societally, having dinner as your larger meal is really common, and this is something you really want to be careful of when you are doing a PPI weaning process. Probably one of the biggest tips I could give you would be to not make dinner your largest meal. Have a good breakfast, solid lunch, really decent afternoon snack, and then keep dinner light so that your stomach can mostly empty before you lay down. If your stomach is really full when you lay down, you don't have gravity anymore to help prevent reflux, and this is one of the major reasons people have reflux at night. Also, sleeping on your left side can be really helpful. Sleeping with a wedge pillow, using alginates after dinner and before bed. I have a full video on sleep support for reflux, so definitely check that out here. If you're learning something from this video and you're looking to heal your reflux and prevent long-term irritation, please subscribe to my channel. I'm here to support you, and I release new long-form videos every single week to help you finally conquer reflux. So definitely subscribe and join this community. Okay, 2 more questions. One question is about, can I use H2 blockers like famotidine to kind of bridge this gap and help me wean off my PPI? And yes, this is a strategy that a lot of people use and can be helpful because H2 blockers are a little bit less strong than PPIs and can be a great way to either transition fully to an H2 blocker or to gradually help you come off of your PPI. Remember, coming off a PPI is a marathon, not a sprint. You are not failing if you have a bad day, but it's really important if you are suffering to reach out for support. A trusted healthcare provider, a reflux specialist, getting some customized advice here can be really helpful. So if you are looking for some more support, we do offer one-on-one sessions. You can learn more about that in the description of this video. Another really key thing to keep in mind is lower esophageal sphincter health. I released a video here that describes how you can strengthen your lower esophageal sphincter to address reflux at the root. So head over here to check out this video, and I will see you in the next one.